Hello, everybody. I'm Patrick Chun, and today we are very happy to have Carolina Tan, AICI CIP, and also a licensed IITTI Master Instructor here, an expert in soft skill training for many, many years, joining us and talk about some of the most difficult issues. For example, what would you do if you were insulted, especially in front of your friends, in front of everybody, in front of the public? What are you going to do? Now, we all have different kind of reactions, I would imagine, but there are scientifically proven, scientific way that it can be very effective. And we can be listening to Carol to talk about something like this. So welcome very much. Welcome to the show here, Carol. And maybe you can share some of your expertise as to what are you going to do? What are people should do when they are in that kind of very uncomfortable situation?
Hi, Patrick, and hello, everyone. To those of you who are watching, thank you so much. I'm sending you our mabuhay greetings from Manila, Philippines. From my end, to sum it up in a short phrase, I would say, to answer Patrick's question directly, how can we react or how do we face friends or even strangers in the midst of an insult? Well, in one phrase, I would say, you and I, we can embrace the rule of awkward silence. Believe it or not, there is actually power in silence. And would you believe even the Bible? Here, let me quote Proverbs 17:28. Allow me to read. Even a fool who keeps silent is considered wise. When he closes his lips, he is deemed intelligent. So that's very wise words of wisdom that we hear from the Bible. Of course, being awkwardly silent, or what we call peacefully quiet, or some of you may even say cringeworthy, it may not be the typical norm. Why is that? We live in a day and age wherein everything is fast-paced. We are expected to give instant answers in the now, right here, at the moment. So imagine, like, how would that make us feel if we happen to be given, let's say, an ambushed question that throws us off our back, or more so if it's an insult? Human behavior tendency is to always react. And when we say react, reacting could mean reacting in a negative way, or maybe blabbing many, many words that we end up in the end regretting, but there's no way to take it back once it is said. So when unsure, we can always learn from the well-known personalities. Look, for instance, at the example of Tim Cook, of course, like foremost CEO of Apple. Instead of reacting, the audience could actually hear him tearing, the wrapper of a protein bar that he has been constantly eating. Or let's say from Jeff Bezos, like who is the CEO of Amazon. What he does here is, at the onset of every meeting, he starts it in utter silence. So some might say lost for words, but with that silence simply means that he goes through notes, and so goes the rest of his organization, right? Or the ones in the room with him. And sometimes this may even take as much as 30 minutes. You and I might be thinking, crazy, right? That crazy long. Of course, we are not saying that you and I pause for 30 minutes, not that long. Otherwise, we lose our audience. But rather, these are all things that we can learn. But we also know that, like a length of a pause. Let's say, for instance, how would you and I feel if we keep quiet for a moment and basically just sit upright? what I just did is demonstrating a few seconds of peaceful quiet, awkward silence, if you may call it. Yes, I do not have a drink in my hand. I don't have to sip a drink, but I can always take a deep breath, inhale, exhale. I can even lean back, okay, on my seat. If you happen to be against the wall in your area, okay, I don't know what your backdrop is, you can always do that to take a pause. Do you know that there are actually many benefits to a person when we do this? Number one, it gives you and I the opportunity to reflect. And with that comes positive composure to be able to gather our thoughts. Not mumbling nonsense, but really making thoughts come out and come out the way it should be, hitting right to the message. Number two, it enables you and I to, let's say, continue carrying on a conversation. Or if not that, perhaps ask each other, where did we leave the last time around? And just carry on from where we left out, right? And I've also read that, would you believe, silence, okay, that's the third point, okay, benefits to a person. Silence, okay, lowers our adrenaline and cortisol levels in the brain. So that means for you and I, we can be more at ease, relaxed, and it is even shown to lower blood pressure. So if only among these three, these are all worthy benefits that can be applied.
It seems to me that there's a scientific reason why taking a pause, this awkward silence you were talking about, actually makes sense, because it gives you the physiology to deal with the situation in a more logical way.
Absolutely. And many times we can also look at the context. Let's say for a moment, we all have been faced with situations such as being in a lull, in a conversation with a stranger. But of course, the person being a stranger, that is pretty much like quite expected, right? Because maybe we might feel anxious, we might feel jittery or nervous, especially if we are being bombarded with questions one after the other. It could even be a flight tendency that we are actually feeling scared. But you know, looking at this scenario, what if it's a conversation lull, but this time around with a friend, with a significant other, or let's say with another family member? How would that make you feel? How would that make us feel? I'm pretty sure words such as being okay and at ease, being content, being at peace, you know, these are the words that actually would come out. So what is the difference when it comes to context here, right? Again, our perspective. Our perspectives change depend on who is actually the audience or who is the person in front of us.
Wow, this is good. This is something that I think I have a tendency of trying to not have this awkward silence, right? This is mad because it's so embarrassing at many times. But now that you mentioned something like this, I think there's is a powerful tool in that people wouldn't know what I think, perhaps, but also you keep the suspense, but also move it forward in a productive way. So yeah, this would be very good. Yeah.
It's a positive learning for all of us, actually, Patrick, and for all our ET followers out there, because sometimes a bias exists for what we call extroversion, right? Meaning we value independence versus interdependence. And not only that, when you and I look at Western culture, we are actually expected to give a reply, because when we are not talking, it comes out as it gives the wrong message, such as you're not paying attention, or like your brain is actually all over the place except here right now. And in other words, when we look at this, is something really wrong here? You know, let me quote another author. His name is Tashiro. The person wrote a book, The Science of Why We're Awkward and Why That's Awesome. So if we actually look at a difference in perspective, there's so much that we can learn. And more so if we look towards, the Asian way of doing things, which is valuing the culture of what we call introversion, introspection, meaning you and I can be more quiet. Okay, yes, be comfortable with it. Practical tips, how do we do it? Well, let me think of simple ways. When you and I are driving in the car, instead of turning on the radio, you can simply turn it off, right? Yes, there won't be any sound because your vehicle is actually shielded from the outside noise. But there is always strength in silence and in peace. And maybe in the mornings, we can choose to do some reading or meditations. And when we are actually back at home at night, perhaps read a physical book instead of watching Netflix.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah. Wow, this is really a golden nugget of advice to all the people out there listening. And thank you very much, Carolina. Again, Carolina Tan, it's the Associations of Image Consulting International, and she is a certified image professional and also the master instructor for IITTI with this organization here. Now, there is a QR code that we're going to be posting, and you can scan it and earn 1 point on the World Civility Index because of this program here. So until next time, thank you very much, Carol, and we'll see you again very soon.
You're welcome. Bye.